Mr. Amadei, if you're prepared.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your record. Mark Amadei, Nevada District 2, which encompasses the entire eastern border of Lake Tahoe, the Lake Tahoe Basin, some of the borders which we share with you. Thank you for the opportunity to testify on behalf of this piece of legislation. It's not news to you that the effects of catastrophic wildland fire in the West are significant, both in terms of natural resources and also in terms of economic development, carbon release into the air, you name it. So while there may be some issues with this bill regarding how much funding is suggested between various folks, a couple of things, Mr. Chairman, are undeniable. Catastrophic wildland fire in the Lake Tahoe Basin is a catastrophic deleterious effect to water quality in the basin. When you deal with what happens after, in that particular ecosystem, you have a 100-year burn. It is a resource that takes 100 years to recover. Part of the reason that the burns there lately have been so significant, you know from the Rim Fire, the King Fire, the Angora Fire, which was actually in the Tahoe Basin, is that you have fuels build up from the Comstock era when basically the basin was clear-cut in order to support the mining activity in Virginia City in the 1860s, 70s, 80s. So now when all of that comes back, and then about in the 1950s when we started fire prevention and fire suppression, you have tremendous amounts of fuel that are laying on the floor in the forest so that when you get a lightning strike, that in the old days, forensically, it used to burn. They used to call them, well, I won't tell you what they actually used to call them because somebody will accuse me of being sexist and also racist. But there was none of those intents in naming the fires. But they were low grade, they burned, they cleared out the fuels in the understory. That isn't the case anymore unless we actively go in and manage. Because now, with all those fuels laying around, the intensity that comes with them, you get those upper story crown fires that basically turn the whole landscape into moonscape. So when we talk about what this bill does in terms of fuels management, we talk about what this bill does in terms of returning the ecosystem to its pre-Comstock logging days. It is, regardless of what you think about the issues on where we spend money on lake clarity and other things, this is a must because everything in the basin suffers with catastrophic wildland fire. I couldn't be more supportive of the committee's draft and the work of your staff, including the folks that are on loan to you from the United States Forest Service, who will remain unnamed but are smiling at present, the record should reflect. I just want to wind up by saying I think it's a no-brainer if you care about the resources in any region that is subject to the threats of wildland fire that you take active measures to manage those fuels. I want to plant another seed, though, that extends beyond the borders of the Lake Tahoe Basin, and that is this. Anybody who's familiar with the area knows that all of the effects that we've described within the Lake Tahoe Basin exist in the Sierras, north, south, and east and west outside of the basin. So because we treat the basin, which we should do and should be our top priority, we also need to start looking at other areas outside the basin so you avoid the specter of fires that start outside the basin, burn into the basin, and create those consequences which we've just described. So I would I strongly support the bill. I know that the chief from the North Lake Tahoe Fire Protection District is here. He's a much better resource on those issues than I am. But I think it goes without saying that if you care about the basin, you care about the investment that's been made locally, state, and federal-wise over the years, that this is a natural continuation. I yield back and thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Chairman.